Moldy Oldie is the 48th episode of the first season of Sabrina the Animated Series, and there will be some spoilers as I discuss what happens in this one. I won't go through everything scene by scene, but I'll talk a little bit about what happens, and I think the title gives a pretty good indication of the kind of attitudes in this episode. Sabrina's great-great-great-grandfather Gandalf is coming to visit, and he's needing to renew his witch's license. And he seems like, although he has some wonderful stories, his magic is not what it used to be. And the Spellmans begin to worry that he won't get to renew his witch's license, that he won't pass the test. And they try and help him without him knowing that they're helping. Will it make a difference? Well, I'll explain what happens at the end in a moment, but I will say the message here is very, very clear. They're treating him almost like a child, like his opinions don't matter, like they don't trust his abilities. And yes, there are examples of when his magic goes a bit awry, so they have some reason to believe his magic is not up to scratch, but the way they treated him was not great. He's a very likeable character. I like the design of the character. I like his personality. Absolutely no issues there at all. And I did obviously want the best for him throughout the episode, and I was hoping things would go in a certain direction. And I will, of course, explain what happens in a moment. But in general, I thought the message was very clear. I think they did a great job of showing that just because somebody is older, it doesn't mean they're incapable. And just because they're older, you shouldn't really talk to them in certain ways because it's not necessarily fair. And at the end of the episode, well, actually, a good chunk of the last 5 minutes or so, Sabrina goes with Gandalf to the witch's license renewal. And he does really well because of the coaching, the secret coaching that the Spellmans had been doing. But there's one final test, and he needs to turn a desk into gold, and he gets it wrong. It doesn't go right, and I actually thought he would be able to do it. It would be that moment where he proved everybody wrong, but it went one step further, and a trick was played on the person doing the test, and it was up to Gandalf, who had these years of experience with this particular spell, to save the day, and he had a chance to prove that actually he was capable after all. And I thought it was a really decent, rather action-packed way to deliver that message. So there are no complaints from me at all. I thought Moldy Oldie, it's a really awkward title, but I thought the episode was pretty good. Gandalf was a really likeable character, and ultimately it was a really good way to get some pretty important messages across. Ultimately, Moldy Oldie is not a bad episode of Sabrina the Animated Series.